Hi everyone, my name is Cynthia. Let's talk books and bookish things. Today I have a haul for you, the first haul of 2019. I know it's very early in January, but late December, over New Year's, I was traveling visiting family, and so I went to bookstores that I'd never been to and bought books. Also, some of these, I won't lie, were books I bought at the end of December that I bought too late to include in my last haul of 2018. Well, here I am sharing them with you. So let's start off with some bookish things. While I was in Kansas visiting family, my family lives near Wichita. We stopped at Watermark Books. They have several locations in Kansas, but I really liked the shirts they had. They had one in pink that I really wanted, but they were all out of sizes. So instead I got this one, which I am so happy with. I can't wait to wear this one. The long sleeves are perfect for the winter. And sorry, I'm like taking a look at what my dogs are doing. Sometimes they behave weirdly. Really happy with that shirt. And by the way, this bookstore in Wichita, this is the first location I've been to of theirs, and it was just, oh, lovely. I mean, my only complaint about this bookstore was that there was no romance section, but they had a little cafe that was attached to the bookstore that was just so perfect. The books that they had at this store were just so beautifully curated. Like, you could tell that people had put a lot of thought into what books they sold and recommended, and it was just fantastic. If I lived with my family in Kansas, I would live at this bookstore basically. I got a couple of pins because they also had a bunch of really cutesy, like, bookish things, and I really liked this one. This one says Her Story, and since I'm a history teacher, I thought this would be perfect to have. And then I got La Llorona. They had several kind of like Mexican themed pins. They had like Loteria, La Catrina, a bunch of other things like that, but I chose to go with La Llorona because I was feeling a little bit dark. So that's it for the bookish things. Let's talk about the books. So since I'm talking about Kansas, I'll show you the books that I picked up at Watermark. The first that I'm so incredibly excited about is All Systems Red by Martha Wells. And so Emily Fox over at her channel, what is it? Is it Books with Emily Fox? I think it's Books with Emily Fox. Talked about this in her Best of 2018 videos, and it just sounded really intriguing. It's a sci-fi. Is it a sci-fi? I don't even remember that much of what she said about it, but I put it on my Goodreads list, and when I saw it at Watermark, I just had to pick it up. So let me read the back real quick in case you might be interested. So in a corporate-dominated spacefaring future, planetary missions must be approved and supplied by the company. Exploratory teams are accompanied by company-supplied security androids for their own safety. But in a society where contracts are awarded to the lowest bidder, safety isn't a primary concern. On a distant planet, a team of scientists are conducting surface tests shadowed by their company-supplied droid, a self-aware sec unit that has hacked its own governor module and refers to itself, though never out loud, as Murderbot. Scornful of humans, all it really wants is to be left alone, long enough to figure out who it is. But when a neighboring mission goes dark, it's up to the scientist and their murder bot to get to the truth. That sounds awesome. So it's a little a series. So I think there's 3 or 4 books in the series. These look like super short books, really manageable. Really interesting sounding story. So this is at the top of my TBR. Ain't gonna lie. Okay, the last 2 books I got at a Watermark are classics that I thought would just be really great to have in my collection. So the first one is Persuasion by Jane Austen. So this is my favorite Jane Austen book. I love Pride and Prejudice, but Persuasion has always seemed to me like a much more mature book. It's one of the last ones she wrote and published. So clearly she was more mature when she wrote this, but the story is also just a much more mature story, dealing with mature characters that have already basically had a first round of at a romance. They were in love, and then the main female character is persuaded not to marry our hero, and so the story really begins once the hero has come back, and kind of how they deal with being back in each other's lives. And I really, really love this story. And I saw this edition, which I had never seen. It's part of the Penguin's Deluxe Classics, and I have a few of these editions. So I thought, well, let me pick it up in this one because it's lovely. So it's got the silhouette of a woman here, and then ocean and a ship, because our hero is a captain. He's a sailor of some sort. And then on the back is how you have the silhouette of the hero and like a sunset. It's so perfect. I love that edition. Next up, I saw the series that I had never seen before. So it's the Harper Perennial Olive editions, and these books, they had a bunch of these in the bookstore, and they're $10 each, and they're just classics published in these editions. So there's nothing fancy about them. They're totally like simple editions, but I really liked the simplicity of them, and I'm thinking about starting to collect these. Just because I'm like, these are books that are not super expensive. It's a nice way to collect the classics, or at least some of them. Speaking of which, I found Jane Eyre at Barnes & Noble, which is not a huge feat, except this one is an illustrated Jane Eyre. I read Jane Eyre ages and ages ago, and I've been meaning to reread it actually, because I've been like hearing some more recent takes from readers on this, and I'm like, oh, I'd like to go back and see how my reading experience has changed of it. And look at it. It's just the artwork really caught my eye. And then when I was at Barnes & Noble, I was like, well, maybe I could find this edition cheaper somewhere else. And like just on a quick search, I thought I didn't find it for cheaper. So I was like, let me just pick it up while I have a coupon from Barnes & Noble. So yeah. On that same trip to Barnes & Noble, I was just browsing the shelves of Barnes & Noble, because sometimes you want specific books, and sometimes you just want to walk through bookshelves and like pick up books that catch your eye, read the back, see if you're gonna like them. And that's how I found European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman by Theodora Goss. I have not heard anything about this book. I have heard no one talk about this book. It just caught my eye on a bookshelf at Barnes & Noble. And it turns out it's about basically the women in a lot of the world of the monsters, right? Like you have, let's see, Mary Jekyll. You have Justine Frankenstein, Diana Hyde. Let's see, who else do we have? Professor Lucinda Van Helsing. And it looks like we're going to have a bunch of other people who are traveling from Paris to Vienna to Budapest and all kinds of other places. And yeah, it's following the women in a lot of the monster stories through Europe, solving crimes, it sounds like. Or are they killing people? I think they're solving crimes. Anyways, it's a giant book here, but it sounds like a lot of fun. It sounded like a lot of fun, so I'm going to give that a shot. The next book I also bought at Barnes & Noble, and it was 50% off, so yay for that. And it's a signed copy, which I thought was freaking fantastic. So there's a signature. So this is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Ngan. I'm sorry if I butchered that. I've seen a lot of people talk about this. It was in several like best of 2018 videos that I saw, and yeah, I'm excited. I think it's a slightly fantasy series. Let's see. Lay is of the paper caste, the lowest class in Hara. Even so, rumors of her golden eyes have piqued the king's interest, and so she is ripped from her home and taken to the opulent palace, a gilded prison, her life now beholden to the demon king's every whim. All right, that was enough to jog my memory about this book. So it is basically about this girl that's kidnapped into the king's court, and she falls in love with another woman in the king's court. So this sounds really cool, really interesting story, and I'm looking forward to reading that. Then I picked up The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. I actually already picked up this book in the American cover, and then when I saw the British edition of it, I had to do it. I don't usually do that. Like, I'm not somebody who needs like every cover released of these books. But look at this. Look at the inside. And like sometimes they just do such a great job with the cover that you need to, even though you already have a copy of the book. So this follows the story of Briseis, who was a character in the Iliad. She had been taken prisoner in the Trojan War and had become basically like the concubine of Achilles. And it was Achilles and Agamemnon fight over her. And that's all you really get of her in the Iliad. But this story focuses the entire book on her. So it's a retelling of this classical story through the perspective of a really minor character, which I really, I love this idea. And I'm actually planning on doing something with this book in one of my classes in the spring semester. So that was also another reason for me to get this edition of it, because since I'm going to be teaching this book, I can't have too many copies of it. Let me read the back. Is a great Achilles, brilliant Achilles, shining Achilles, godlike Achilles. How the epithets pile up. We never called him any of those things. We called him the butcher. Oh, I love that, because those first few lines, I believe, are the first lines of the Iliad. Yeah. Anyway, I'm super excited to read that. I've seen that in several of like best of 2018 lists as well. So next book is Kill You Twice by Chelsea Cain. So this is a book in a series. This is the Gretchen Lowell and Archie Sheridan series, and this is like book, I don't know, like 4 or 5 in that series. I started collecting the book because I read the first one, really loved it, would like to continue this series in 2019. And when I saw it at my used bookstore in hardcover, I just felt like in like really great condition. I had to get it. And the series is about a serial killer who's been caught. She's in jail. Gretchen Lowell is in jail in the first book, and Archie Sheridan is the cop who put her there. And that's the premise of how the first book already has started. The first book starts months after this has already happened, and then you're following basically how their stories continue. It's a kind of twisted book, and I really liked Heartsick, which is the first one in that series. So that's why I'm picking up the other books whenever I find them. A book I bought, I don't remember where I bought this one, but it's Stories Black Friday, Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. All right, so this is a collection of short stories, and I don't know that much about these stories other than they were very highly recommended. It was in a lot of like best of 2018 lists, and so when I saw it at the bookstore, I had to pick it up. So I'm not a huge short story reader, but I'm hoping to kind of read more of them in 2019, and so I thought this would be a nice one because it's an overall like short collection. So I'm looking forward to that. Next was another find at the used bookstore from the Agatha Christie Mystery Collection. This is Murder on the Orient Express, which I have not read. I am a huge Agatha Christie fan, but I haven't read a lot of her books, actually. I've read a few of her books, loved every single one I've read. Like I've read the ABC Murders, and then there were none, and maybe one other one. but I've never read some of these, and so hearing books like Whoa, Mara from Books Like Whoa talk about her love of Agatha Christie has kind of reignited that love for me, because I really, really loved, you know, every single book I've read so far of hers, and I'm like, wait, why didn't I continue? Why didn't I continue reading some of these? This is a really nice edition, and this is a really good copy of it. Like, it doesn't look red. But I got it for like a used book price. So that, can't beat that. This is another Mara made me buy it book. So this is Dread Nation by Justina, Ireland. And it's a YA book, and it's a set in the Civil War with zombies. And I believe it's post-Civil War. And honestly, that's all I needed to know to sell me on this book. Like, I like these retellings and reimaginings, especially when they're set in like historical settings. And yeah. Also, every time I hear Mara talk about this, it's like the more I want to read this book, because every time she's talked about it in a video, it's like she's giving me a little bit more pieces of the puzzle that really intrigue me. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. A few other people here on YouTube I've heard talk about it. So, and everybody has said really good things. So if you read it, let me know down below, because I'm trying to figure out how to prioritize this one in my TBR list. Okay, another book that I'm picking up, and I forget who made me read this. I know someone on BookTube talked about this book and got me interested in it. But it's The Three-Body Problem by Cixin Liu, translated by Ken Liu. I know I'm not pronouncing those correctly, and my deepest apologies. This is kind of a classic of sci-fi in China, and I'm really trying to read more sci-fi in this next year. It's one of my reading goals, and I read quite widely in terms of genres. Like, most genres I really enjoy, but I haven't read a lot of like hard sci-fi in a while. So I think this will be one that's on my list for 2019. So let me read the back real quick. Wow. So, set against the backdrop of China's Cultural Revolution, a secret military project sends signals into space to establish contact with aliens. An alien invasion on the brink of destruction captures the signal and plans to invade Earth. Meanwhile, on Earth, different camps start forming, planning to either welcome the superior beings and help them take over a world seen as corrupt, or to fight against the invasion. The result is a science fiction masterpiece of enormous scope and vision. That sounds really interesting. And when I saw it at the bookstore, I was like, must get it now while I can. So yeah. It sounds really interesting, doesn't it? Anyway, let me know if you've read any of these books. I always love to hear people's feedbacks, because when you all get excited about a book, it makes me get really excited about it. It helps me move it up on my TBR list, because I'm such a mood reader that if I get excited about a book, like, I'll pick it up, and I'll pick it up right away. So let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I have a few videos lined up here. I'm thinking about doing talking about some of my reading goals for 2019, sharing that with you in a separate video. I've been seeing a lot of people do that, and I really enjoyed them. So yeah, if you're interested in those or future videos, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to like this video if you did. Thank you so much for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one.